pleasant good morning to all our viewers, and this I welcome you to today's edition of a Star Good Morning Show, here on Star Television Network on Channel 21. Today is Tuesday, the 24th of April 2018, and there's a program that brings you issues and updates of happenings in and around the country. We are your presenters. I am Adama, Sillah,
Abdul, Rahman, Kamara.
And top stories in today's edition of the program. The Office of National Security and other stakeholders, including 4 political party representatives, have concluded a countrywide cross-party engagement on how to stop violence among different party supporters across the country.
Coming up next, the World Bank has launched the African Poll Report by annual analysis of state of African economies conducted by the World Bank. Sierra Leone is among the countries in Africa with high debt rates, according to World Bank Chief Economist for Africa, zeuefack.
And the acting executive director of the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, Madam Memunatu Koroma, has debunked allegation that she has been intimidating workers at the authority and was given the position because of political connection.
All days and sports will be part of the program. With us in the studio is Francis Langobakeli. He is a Director of Planning and Interagency Relation Directorate and spokesman, Office of National Security. They've just concluded an engagement with stakeholders in the east and south and northern part of the country as part of the Presidential Committee set up to look into incidences of political intimidation and violence. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Rahman.
And we expect you to have with us in the studios Walter Lily Tonmon, former NFL player. He'll be talking to us on his charity foundation in Sierra Leone.
Also, Gloria Jones, founder of the Macbullan Free School of Music and Film. She will be talking to us on the significance of your school in Sierra Leone. Remember Gloria Jones, one-time songwriter for the Jackson 5, the Gladys Knights, and the Commodores, United States of America.
Well, it's the Star Good Morning Show here on Star Television Network on Channel 21, and we're streaming live on the internet on www.startvsl.com. We encourage our viewers right across the globe. You can log us on the internet and contributing issues we discussed in the program this morning. And the Star Good Morning Show is proudly sponsored by Commercial Bank.
Commercial Bank is the best bank. It's the best bank in town.
Abdul.
You know glad you. What make you glad?
Listen, I just come up pay me fees through my swag account at World Commercial Bank. And they make it very easy for me.
Really?
Swag account? Oh yes, swag account. Make I tell you about swag account. This is the new account we World Commercial Bank don't do for we the students them, so then a tertiary institution, technical vocational, and other one day. And don't forget to this account is for students who reach the age of 18 and above.
Now true in the talk for open swag account now World Commercial Bank no need boku money. The list money now 50,000 and you go get SMS alert for all transactions and 50 MB airtime for any company of your choice direct to your phone, and also you go get Tindelek, pen and band and boku more thing we get World Commercial Bank logo them, and all this now for free.
Free? Yes, free. Like FREE. La shokuna. You go also get the opportunity for get a visa card at a very low cost. And also, them back transaction and very low and reasonable.
Would you tell me more about the swag account? How I will for apply for it?
All you need now for get your student ID card, national ID card, passport, and letter from the head of department in your college or institution.
Well, you don't tell them more. But listen, if you want to know more, you can go to any branch inside World Commercial Bank and do more inquiries. So don't forget to swag account for me, swag account for you, swag account for you all.
Welcome back. If you just tuned in, this is the Star Good Morning Show here on Star Television Network and Channel 21. National Broadcasting live from Ramideo Center Studios in Freetown, Street. We'll continue the rest of our broadcast. We'll go for first story this morning, where the Office of National Security and all the stakeholders, including 4 political party representatives, concluded a countrywide cross-party engagement on how to stop violence among different party supporters across the country. Here's a report.
Immediately after the final announcement on the 31st March 2018 presidential runoff election, supporters of the All People's Congress Party came under persistent attacks that forced many to migrate from especially Nimiyama chiefdom in the eastern part of the country and sought refuge in the township of Masimbi in the northern part of Sierra Leone. Against this backdrop of repeated political intimidations and violence across the country, a presidential cross-party committee was set up to look into the causes of political violence and intimidation and now to mitigate its impact across the country. Addressing residents at the Masimbe township that migrated from Nimiyama chiefdom in the eastern district of Kono, the national coordinator of the Office of National Security, Ishmael Tarasi Tarawali, who headed a team of officials from political parties and civil society groups, including media practitioners, reminded them of the statement of His Excellency retired Brigadier Julius Madabiyo on the ongoing violence in various parts across Sierra Leone and how to resolve such violent acts for the good of all.
But by and large, the government see the need because waiting bring all of this. That's a result of the outcome of the presidential runoff result. That will begin to see all NTR spark up all over the country. And as a state, we get a responsibility for protect with people. Then wherever they're inside this country or even outside this country, that will responsibility for take care of the people. I want also for sympathize with Tuna. Not to this we expect when they announce results. We expect we all for dance. Because at the end of the day, that's Sierra Leone win. So man, they will go back to the community inside the day. Then so man, they're not drive about 9 just from Sillah go first. Now the fear of reprisal, the fear of attack. And the area they go, we don't see semblance of that. Don't know like you said. Some of we don't attack our brother and sister them. We don't threaten them. We don't put cutlass for them. We don't hear incidences wherein they rape woman them. Just imagine if na your mama or na your sister or na your pikin, they put clothes by na full road and strip her naked. You go gladly.
The head of operations of the Sierra Leone Police, Elizabeth Toure, said they were worried about reported incidents of violence across the country and called on all to accommodate each other in the interest of national development and moving forward in developing the country.
We've been really worried at Freetown because we get a lot of reports there all over the country. And we expect say this is not the first election. We don't get the same experience. And as a country, as people there, we expect say for the member for change. And more member better thing for our country there. Election not necessarily know where they be. It happen all over the world. And even with neighboring country, quite recently, Liberia, they began the election. But the problem is they won't get Naya. Liberia don't experience that.
Meanwhile, the Director Planning and Interagency Relations Directorate and spokesperson of the Office of National Security, Francis Lagomba Kelly, said the team will work with Political Parties Registration Commission, PPRC, the Human Rights Commission Sierra Leone, the Interreligious Council of Sierra Leone, and the security sector, aimed at bringing disputing communities together. This report was compiled by Rahman Kamara, Wahida Sese reporting for Star TV News.
Thank you so much, Wahida Sese, for that comprehensive report. And this is how I welcome once more my studio guest, Francis Languba Kelly, Director of Planning and Interagency Relations Directorate and Spokesperson, Office of National Security. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Also with us in the studio is Walter Riley Funball, former NFL player. He's here to talk to us of his charity foundation in Sierra Leone. Remember, former American football safety drafted by the Seattle Seahawks of the National Football League in the 4th round of 2010. Am I right?
Yes.
Great. And you've also won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks and over the Denver Broncos, United States of America.
Yeah.
Great. Good to have you in the studios.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Also here is Who?
Gloria Jones.
Yeah, Gloria Jones. One-time songwriter for the Jackson 5 and Gladys Knights and the Commodores.
Yes.
Great to have you in the studios.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Mr. Kelly. We've seen where you've concluded a stakeholder engagement with political party supporters across the country, aim at mitigating the seeming conflicts that ensued immediately after the election results were announced. How was that engagement? How did it go?
Well, of course, we've been able to de-escalate most of the tensions around the country.
Good to hear
as
that.
As a team. But we know that there are underlying conflicts within those communities. And peace building is not a one-off process. It's actually trying to build up a structure and architecture for permanent peace to reign within those communities. But suffice it to note that when you look at the dimensions of the conflicts, it's very difficult to apportion blame to one particular political party. There are sections you go to, when they narrate the ordeals that they have gone through in the hands of a political party, you'll be inclined to think that this political party is responsible. You go to another section, when they also narrate their own ordeals, you are left wondering, as to this political party that you've considered as an angel, is it the same political parties that have been committing these atrocities within these communities? And one thing that also came out was that before the runoff, the presidential runoff, the pronouncement, the antics, the behaviors, directives of certain politicians, exacerbated conflicts within those communities. And also the areas where I realized that most of those conflicts emanated out of reprisals after the runoff. Of course, you saw the incidents we had in Kono district, to be Jam and Zeuefack, to be specific, and the displacements of people who had inhabited those communities, especially who hail from the north originally, Masimbi and other places. They fled for their lives. They went back to Masimbi because they occupied Masamendu. Some of them have stayed in those areas for 30 or more years. But then what they said, that before the runoff, in fact, the inhabitants, who were occupying those villages, actually said they are going to secede. And they are going to cede that part of Kono land to Tonkolili district. And they no longer respect the authority of the paramount chief in Kono district. Though they were host communities, So you began to see the backlashes, the violence that was meted out. We saw people who had their eyes gushed out, people who had machetes, chopped their head with machetes, and we had to bring them down to Freetown. And of course, later there we went to Kwedu city, Kwedu town itself. Of course, where we saw, the incidents of the erstwhile resident minister of the Eastern Province, where the whole situation went through symbolic, gestures of reconciliation. Adama and others who were very notorious, they actually came out. SLPP, APC, everybody came out, reconciled, and the things went on well. But the ones that were outside, you are not really privy to the discussions, the reconciliation process that had gone inside. So no sooner Kramokaba and others came out, we saw the mob, wanted to heap violence on them and the like. But of course, we were able to went with police escort. So the tension was de-escalated. But on the whole, we were able to face reconciliation. Then of course, for the ones that were displaced in Masimbi, we spoke with the paramount chief, and we talked to the BFP, they provided some relief items. We have been able to repatriate all of them. From there, we split ourselves into two groups. Mind you, it's a presidential cross-party, peace committee. We, ONS, are only facilitating and coordinating the process.
So your monitoring activities are going to be continuous?
Yes, our monitoring activities are going to be continuous. The groups that left went to the northwest. They headed to Cambia, Kabbalah, and other places, Putloko, that had the same tensions. And we headed towards the southeast. We covered Kailan district, Bonobu, Shegbema, and those other places, Kenemabo, My 91. But on the whole, what we did, we were able to reconcile all of these communities. And even the ones that perpetrated those violence came out, and they were able to reconcile with the ones that they have meted violence on. So there was a strict reconciliation process. And not only that, to ensure that we have permanent peace, we established peace committees in each of these areas that we went to. The composition of the peace committee cuts across all of the political parties that had representation, especially the four that had representation in parliament, because the ONC, for CNGC, SLPP, and APC. Of course, the paramount chief, who is the custodian of peace, bastion of peace within his community, is supposed to be chairing those committees. And we, the LUC and the ONS coordinators, are supposed to be facilitating their meetings. So it's like a kind of conflict prevention committee that we have set up.
Mr. Kelly, in all of this, you see them having the ready phases to actually comply to the reconciliatory terms?
Well, of course, mind you, we are now using the carrot and stick approach. You cannot continue using violence infinitum. Mind you, Sierra Leone is a governable state. We are governed by law and order. The police have the responsibility to maintain internal security. That is why it is not that, in fact, those ones who committed those violence offenses that are of a criminal nature, will have to go scotch-free. The police will still be investigating those incidents. But that was the cut-off point. Anybody who did anything after that date, you will face the full brunt of the law.
Did you extend your visits to Kenema district?
Yes, we went to Kenema district. We met in the Kenema district council. You know, all of the political parties, they expressed their legitimate grievances. And they are all able to reconcile. And we set up the peace committee there. You know.
So as to speak, where are we as a nation in terms of understanding each other amidst all of these conflagrations?
Abraham, it's unfortunate that immediately after the war, if you look at the TRC recommendation, the critical component of that was maintaining a culture of peace, even institutionalizing peace structures. Even after the war, we had a commission for the consolidation of peace, you can recall. That was once headed by Johnny Paul Koroma. But that did not last, you know. And even after the war, the symbolic peace gestures and reconciliation processes that we are not really sustaining. It's just that as Sierra Leoneans, we had the coping mechanism. But we do not really establish a strong culture of peace in this country. And that is why we are trying to establish now. That's what we're trying to establish. Because it's going to be a cyclical pattern.
So the need is there for us to actually have one.
There's need for us to have a structured peace process in this country. A structured peace architecture. And that is what we are aspiring towards.
Okay. Still with us in the studio, he is Francis Languba-Kelly, Director of Planning and Interagency Relations Directorate, who doubles as the spokesperson for the Office of National Security. Welcome once more, Walter Riley Thornbull, former NFL player.
Thank you. How are you doing?
How did you come to know about Sierra Leone in the first place?
My grandmother, she's been coming to the country for almost 20 years now, and every time she would come back to the States and tell me about, you know, coming to Sierra Leone and the country and the greatness that's within this country, you know, and I always wanted to come here and experience it for myself, and it is truly great.
So upon your visit now to Sierra Leone, what is it you've seen that have really interested you a lot?
Perseverance, the hope, the passion, the respect. It's the little things that go missed in the States, you know, on a large scale, and it's good and it's refreshing to see the community within that here.
So where did this initiative came from, you wanting to set up a charity foundation in Sierra Leone? Is it that you have it of your mind before coming down here, or upon your arrival here you saw the need to set up?
No, I started my charity foundation in 2014 in New York. The charity is about centered around arts and education with the youth and young adults. And it's really providing them a platform to show their ability, to show their greatness that they carry, and regardless of their circumstance within the States, that they can be able to become much more and pursue and have great success in any field that they want to go after. And so playing with the New York Giants and then going with the Philadelphia Eagles, I partnered with different organizations within these cities in the United States, and it's a thing that I have for myself as well, is that there's greatness in all the youth around the world, and it's finding and helping and really catering and nurturing these young adults that are going to come and one day come together as a community to take over the country and to be able to grow and to bring it to prominence, and seeing my grandma coming here and seeing the kids in McKinney, where the Mark Bolan Music School of Art is in film, and seeing that the talent and the passion and the drive that's out there, and for me, experience it here. You know, it's just wanting to be able to use what I've experienced from playing at such a high level in professional sports in the States, and what it takes to be able to get there and to hopefully inspire the future generations to come.
Really, in one of your Twitter feeds, you were quoted of said kids are our future and crave support for youth and kids who have interest in arts, literacy, and film. How significant could that be?
I think it's very
against the backdrop of the establishment of your foundation.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've all been kids, we've all been young, we know our life path and what we've gone through to be able to get here and be able to be on set and to be able to you guys to be able to host and to have this show and stuff like that, you know, and what it's took for us to be individuals to be able to get here. And so it's understanding that and understanding that everyone doesn't have the same circumstances, you know, being from an outsider looking in and seeing the aspect of children being used as soldiers, and you see in that situation that now they have taken away of them to be able to grow to be successful adults because of being committed and forced into a life of violence and bloodshed. You know, that's something that adults take on that responsibility, and now we give that responsibility to these kids to implement that. And now it's understand that they can be adults to be able to fight war. Now let's show them that they can be adults to be responsible, to be upstanding members in society, and to be young entrepreneurs and be young business officials and government officials, and to be able to bring the community together. Not just in the United States, here in Sierra Leone and South Africa and Gambia or whatever the country, Iraq, China, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's still the same concept at the end of the day.
Now, before I come over to Gloria, how do you intend running this charity foundation? Is it that you're going to set it up in McKinney, or you have plans coming down here in Freetown to observe, or you do some analysis to see how it's you want to go about it?
The charity it covers multiple different sectors. So I mean, you have film, you have music, you have agriculture, you have different various trades. So I mean, it's different aspects that are going to be resembling the whole country is the goal. So
okay, Gloria, let me bring you in. You are the founder for the Macmillan Free School of Music and Film. One-time songwriter for the Jackson's 5, Gladys Knights, and the Commodores. If I recall, my school days definition for music is a symbolic code of communicating in abstract sounds, the norms of which change from age to age depending on the needs and aspiration of a given society. Am I right in the definition?
You are absolutely correct. Great. But yes, we never thought that hip-hop would take over the world. And it did.
Do you believe so?
Oh, yes. You know, I remember I was on the panel in 1984. And so there was one jazz company there, and then I was representing disco. And so me and my big mouth, you know, being opinionated, I said, well, you know, this is all very good, but the next phase of music will be the young people, the hip-hop. Okay, that's why I have my grandchildren, so I was listening to what they were listening to. But people never expected that music and that world to become as great as it is. But they learned from us. The problem is that we didn't know you were supposed to get paid. We thought if you wrote a song and had the record company made $2 million and they only gave you like $25, you were just happy to get back into the studio and write another one. So these young people, they are now teaching the next generation how to make money, entrepreneurs. Look at my grandson. He's a young man. Look at this gentleman here. These are young people. You know, I'm the elder here. And arts will never die. People will always eat, people will always buy clothes, and people will always pay for entertainment.
Gloria, I'm keen to know what is there in music that has a potential to change societal narratives?
For me...
Perhaps from the negative to the positive strands in society.
I think it's the individual. I believe now going into the future, as our brother was saying, we have to think about what is peace, the simple things, common sense. You know, you could have master's degrees, PhD degrees, but if you don't have common sense, what is the worth? So I let my grandson help me on this one.
I wasn't expecting for you to.
So we're looking at this charity in the bigger scheme of things, how this will impact and change the lives of young people in Sierra Leone.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's music is an escape. It allows you to escape your reality, to be able to get into your mind and think creatively. And if that's something that allows you to be able to look at life in a different lens, that's going to motivate you, to give you hope and inspire you, and I think it's a very beneficial. And if that's the case, I think that's one of those things to where now, what's the next step to be able to utilize that music as far as being able to grow yourself and achieving your dream? If that's, you know, if you want to be, you know, a newscaster, if you want to be a lawyer. I met a young gentleman, Mohammed, who's finishing his secondary school and looking to go to college to be a lawyer. You know, this is a young kid that my grandma has got the privilege to know since he was about 6 years old. You know, and him and his mother, his father passed away, and they were living, you know, sleeping right on the streets. You know, and that didn't deter him. You know, he's doing everything he needs to do to be able to provide for his mother, as well as being tops in his grade in school, in his education. You know, and going to college and to become a lawyer, to be...
Riley, before we move to another instance, I was just thinking the game you played in the United States before you retired requires some element of finesse, some element of fitness. When I look at you, I see a kind of treated masculinity in you that's pretty much stronger to actually go. It's not like the football we used to see, the Ronaldos and all the rest of it. What is much more in this Super Bowl that you often play? What is unique about it?
I mean, it's a very it's a physical sport, you know, to where it requires you to be able to lift weights and to be able to bulk up and create a lot of mass and stuff like that, you know. And so it's a lot of stop and go and, you know, international...
I'm just seeing you running in the screen.
Oh. You know, in international football, you know, you do a lot of running back and forth, and this is a lot more contact driven, you know, very physical, almost kind of like a, you know, football with wrestling components to it, you know. And so you have to be able to be very healthy and strong to be able to protect yourself out there.
Alright, so okay, thank you very much. Continue to stay with us in the program. Well, this is Star Good Morning Show here on Star Television Network and Channel 21. We're broadcasting live from our Media One Center Studios in Freetown, Mammah. We're streaming live on the internet on www.startvsl.com. We encourage our viewers right across the globe. You can log us on the internet and contribute on issues being discussed in the program this morning. We'll continue the rest of our broadcast. We go for our next story, where the World Bank has launched the Africa Poll Report by annual analysis of the state of African economies conducted by the World Bank. Sierra Leone is amongst the countries in Africa with high debt rate, according to Abdul, World Bank Chief Economist for Africa. Let's take a look at this report.
Sierra Leone's foreign debt increased from 40% to 63% to GDP in 2 years, according to zeuefack, World Bank Chief Economist for Africa. Launching the Africa Pulse report, zeuefack says even though growth has rebounded, it is still slow, and the more reason why African government must speed up and deepen macroeconomic and structural reforms.
Economic growth has rebounded in sub-Saharan Africa, but not fast enough. Our governments need to speed up macroeconomic reform, especially fiscal adjustment, and deepen structural reforms if we are to bring growth back to pre-crisis levels. Africa's has only grown by 3.1%. That's our projection. Africa will grow by 3.1% in 2018. Countries have been issuing more Eurobonds. Countries have been contracting more private debt, including with some private enterprises. Governments have been increasing domestic debt, and this is, how the picture is different from the pre-EPIC, the pre-debt relief period, that we had. So the answer to your question is the World Bank is actually working with countries to make sure.
The report states that countries have shifted from traditional concessional sources of financing toward more market-based ones with higher debt burdens. To this, zeuefack says there is a need for fiscal and structural adjustment to increase domestic revenue generation, as well as to ensure efficient spending on debt.
The second result, the second finding of the pause, is that we need to pay more attention to the issue of rising debt, rising public debt. Because the change in composition of debt has now exposed our countries to more market risk, threatening fiscal sustainability. We need to pay more attention.
Kamara, senior economist at the World Bank office in Freetown, says more attention needs to be given to project implementation and efficiency in public investment that will cut down on debt burden. He said the recent announcement on the economy by the new government are very important reforms that the bank has been pushing for that are very critical to fiscal consolidation.
With our economy, you talked about the debt situation, and of course it was all over the news last week about our debt situation, and it's been growing and rising. Basically for Sierra Leone, I wouldn't say it's coming mainly from bilateral sources. It's a combination of both multilateral and bilateral sources. But the alarming rates with which it has jumped from 2013 to now is something worth considering. And I'm happy that we have a new government that is trying to pay attention to it, because if we factor new borrowings, for instance, in 2018, although some of these borrowings have not been ratified by Parliament, for instance, the airport or even the port extension projects, those would move us from moderate risk of debt distress to high risk of debt distress. So it's very important that some of these issues are discussed and look at solutions on addressing them. And then, of course, the solutions are very evident. I'm sure one of the issues the chief economist talked about was quality of investments. And we know in Africa, and particularly Sierra Leone, most of the challenge we have where we have governance constraints is with selection of projects, implementation of projects. A lot of projects end up, having overruns far beyond what was envisaged. And of course, one typical case in point was the Wilkinson Road, and ended up exceeding over $20 million. So it is important that we have efficiency in public investment. Projects are properly planned and they are properly implemented. And it's also important to boost our revenue generation, because
the Africa Pulse report is a biannual analysis of the state of African economies conducted by the World Bank. This report was compiled by Abdul reporting for Star TV News.
Many thanks to my colleague Abdul for putting the reports together. It's a Star Good Morning show here on Star Television Network and Channel 21. We'll continue the rest of our broadcast. Let me come over to you, Andrew. Now, you've held this massive engagement. I must say this is a laudable venture taken so far in terms of sustaining peace and stability in the country. Now, going forward, are there plans of any further engagement, being that you've set up this committees, peace committees in these different districts? What are your plans going forward?
Well, we're supposed to meet at 12 o'clock, midday today, the entire team that went on these engagements across the country. And we're going to come up with a report for the attention of His Excellency, of course, highlighting the issues. There are specific recommendations that we're going to come up with, and generic recommendations as the case might be. But one thrust of it is that we want to ensure that we have a permanent peace structure in this country. Because taking a cue from what we've seen, 2007, when elections come, it happened. 2012, it happened.
On the need of permanent peace structures.
Yeah, permanent peace structures.
Yeah.
You know, when you have the permanent peace structure, I mean, with government funding and commitment, you know, like countries like Ghana, the whole structures, they have permanent structures for peace, you know, that serve as early warning signals, you know, and conflict prevention mechanisms. So it's that kind of structure that we want to have. We have our decentralized structures, the provincial, district, and chiefdom security committees. But this one are specifically, you know, geared towards ensuring that they identify the early warning contours within these various chiefdoms, and they try to address them at localized level, even before waiting for the incidents to have occurred, the damages to have been committed. I just go there to make symbolic gestures of peace, you know. But if you establish these permanent structures, you ensure that they work in concert with the police, they work in concert with the Office of National Security, so that even if any incident occur, even the incidents that are devoid of elections, yeah, incidents that are of a conflict nature, they'll be able to resolve them at that localized level.
Right, now, for the benefit of our viewers, what I want to ask, is it that we need a structure set up permanently for addressing issues of such, or it can be taken up by the Office of National Security?
Well, of course, the Office of National Security has responsibility for security sector coordination, yeah? But there are times when you allow the locals themselves, you know, it's like talking about alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. It's not everything you have to go to the formal courts, you know. Yeah. It's that kind of stuff I'm talking about. You know, have some kind of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms at the localized level. Let the people feel that they own their own dispute resolution processes, and they are part of the processes, and they are part of the solution, because they create the problem, you know. So thereby, even if an external actor wants to go and influence that decision, hence they are multi-sectoral in nature, they cut across political parties, I mean, they'll be inclined to resist such temptations. So it's that kind of permanent structure that we are talking about. And one novelty that we found across the political divide that went on the APC, you had, of course, Fadika and others, Ambassador Ansane, Alpha Kano, SLPP, Ambassador Monwuri, Liman and others, you know. You can see this, the sincere nature, you know, for these communities to have peace. And you can see their pronouncements, you know, across all the political divide. They were able to debunk violence. If it was perpetrated by APC, they will debunk that violence. If it was perpetrated by SLPPC for NGC, they will debunk the violence. You know, and one thing they came up with that we are all there as peace ambassadors of His Excellency the President.
But there were no shifting of blames here and there.
No, there were no shifting of blames. There are no shifting of blames. But we knew, of course, from the discussions, who are the perpetrators in any locality. That's why I said it will be very difficult for you to apportion permanent blame. Because when you go here, they will tell you it was APC that did it. They will tell you, they will go there, they will tell you it's SLPP that did that. So wanted permanent reconciliation within communities.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, stay with us. We'll continue to talk on this as much as it is necessary. Riley, we're looking at the youth in this country. They are pretty much enthused in knowing it all. Among some of the key objectives that you have for your foundation, beginning to wonder whether you have this intention of introducing the NFL soccer here and as part of your components in your foundation.
I think
you're looking forward to that.
I think professional sports is great for the local economy and the governmental economy as well. You know, it's you know, the form of entertainment, but also national pride. You know, and it's the athletes, you know, that reside within this country. You know, there's, you know, many great Hall of Famers and champions out here. you know, and I think it's one of those things to where that is one of the initiatives within the charity work and the foundation is having, you know, sports programs, you know, because again, just like music, it allows you to be able to be in tune with your body to escape your reality, but also give purpose and focus and drive, and that's one of the things that is needed for an individual to be able to help create change.
I understand you have plans meeting with government officials, especially so with His Excellency the President, Brigadier Julius Madabiu.
I think we might have something scheduled, and I think it'd be an honor to be able to meet somebody of his caliber, you know, and the future representative of the next, you know, few years, and seeing the things that he's implementing and trying to be able to help this country on a global scale, you know, and being advocate for youth.
All right, now your plans of your charity foundation, you know, how do you intend going about incorporating people to give them support? And I believe you might have laid out your strategy as to how you want to pursue your plans. So how do you intend going about that?
It's all about, you know, the community. It's all about, you know, the team. I come from, you know, one of the, you know, heavy ultimate team sports in all of sports around the world, you know, and it's a reliance of the person next to you. It's a reliance of your brother and your sister, you know, your coaches, and that's the thing that's going to be able to help, you know, drive everything as far as being able to create change, as far even coming into and getting involved with other communities and organizations.
We have the music industry in Sillah, and I must say we have great talents in this country. You know, do you have plans of meeting with them or further going to any sort of collaboration with them as a way of pushing through with your work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm up for, you know, meeting new people and meeting people that are professionals within this space. You know, I mean, Grandma has the school for music and arts on the youth side of things. You know, these are going to be the young future artists and producers and superstars of the country, you know, on a global scale, you know. So I mean, it'd be a great opportunity to be able to meet, you know, these individuals.
I want to ask Gloria, how has it been like working all these years in Sierra Leone in the music and art school? What has been your experiences over the years?
Well, I've had a lot of tears and I've had a lot of laughter. Basically, you have to be serious and you have to be consistent. And my first students that started 9 years ago, they were former child soldiers, which I didn't know. And they told Walter's uncle, who's my youngest son, who they were. I never knew this. So my son decided that we wanted to replace the memories of ammunition and guns with musical instruments. That's how we started. Those young men today went on to graduate from universities. They have their own companies. They have their own families. They have children. They have wives. They're responsible. And they didn't become professional musicians, but they can sit and they can play a guitar.
And you must be feeling proud to helping them to transform their lives.
Yes, you know, and so this is why the reason Walter, he's been hearing these stories since he was a child. And for him to take on this initiative to have Sierra Leone as another extension of his foundation, along with his wonderful fiancée, Tiffany, who we just love. And she is so supportive of her man. So and these are young people, as I said before. As you asked me those questions earlier, I was a young woman writing all of those beautiful love songs for Motown, for Lionel Richie and Marvin Gaye. And I was thinking, Mr. Berry Gordy taught us one thing, to write a good song. And that's how I'm able to live my dream, because those songs were written over 40 years ago. I told you I was going to tell my age. But because they were good songs, You still hear them on the radio today.
You're filled with a lot of experiences over the years in the area of music. So, you get your establishments in Sierra Leone. To what extent have you really been able to impact the lives of people with all of those experiences you just outlined?
We have the B&G Entertainment Group, and those are mostly artists in the McKinney area. Now we're going to be going into Bow, into Kinama, and into other regions. But we are encouraging the Sierra Leone musicians, and we're encouraging the young women, the women, to become camera women. So we're changing the stigma. Like, we have some girls, they want to play drums. When I was coming up, a girl wasn't allowed to play drums. She was only supposed to sit, play the keyboards. But now we have girls want to play drums.
In all of these, does this talent require some exceptional insight, or rather it will just depend on the individual disposition to actually coming in, then do all the thorough works, then become perfect at the end of the day?
Depends on the individual. And that's what we hope through our meeting with you all, and especially this is home for me, as you know, that you will help us to expose our dreams, and that these young people will make the commitment. And what I'm happy to hear is about the peace, because this is one thing that we do promote about Sierra Leone outside, that this country is a very friendly country, the people are friendly, and there is peace here. So we are ready.
I'll tell Riley, Riley, don't move out of this country without getting a taste of cassava leaves. Oh, yes. I will encourage my colleague to give you a food recipe.
All right, thank you very much. Continue to stay with us in the program. We'll continue the rest of our broadcast, and we take a look at where the acting executive director of Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, SLRSA, Madam Memunatu Koroma, has debunked allegations that she has been intimidating workers at the authority and was given the position because of political connection. She spoke to my colleague Mohammed Bashir on the CV. Listen to you.
Well, by the grace of God, we don't survive all this time, because for me, I focus on my job. My job, I can first acquire for work, and not really to participate into waiting the media they say, because I only want to go to the media for go say, now this we don't do. Now yeah, we've been there. Now yeah, so I don't take SLRSA. Now in my goal. My executive director go on leave based on decision where the board take. Then they can say it don't do a couple of years, you know, go leave, and then go through the HR and make them go through in file and no say and no go couple of years. Then calculate the number of days then day and say make you go leave. And then say make her act. From that day I don't act in the position, and I think I don't act with the best of my ability. Me na the National Financial Secretary, I rise to that rank day because me na be the Financial Secretary for the Northern Region. Following the other conventions them. This convention are just like a promotion, not like a hand-picked process. So, working as a financial secretary, now contributions from members, now I dey manage. Now me they disburse, but I dey manage the funds them. I report to the team. We get a financial committee. So now me, now the secretary, now me they take inventory, now me they take records of all disbursed money. I not get anything for do with me work na SLRSA. Well, before the executive director to go, from Macam we know so we get a management letter. We be don't go around, we be don't go to parliament, we get boku issues. Then at the 2014-2015 report. And not a secret, it then at the public domain. The management letter of itself, we get detail of all waiting, don't they transpire, we expenditures, we income and all of those. So finally then just send in the 2014-2015 report. But as me begin for act, because we not be done do 2017, 2016 audit report and 2017, we ask for the auditors then for come. The Auditor General's office send people them as I talk, so we don't get enough for the past 5 weeks. Then they do the 2016-2017 reports when a board and management ask them for come and we don't pay them so far the fee we supposed to pay them. So the way they go to the social media, of course, when the reports come, we get for give feedback, say, okay, these statements we wanna send, is okay. But when it come, be that not to me being there at the helm of everything, I send and go to the finance director and the audit department, made them review. So obviously the documents then at the hand. So if they say I'm not the social media, you not get anything for do with me. Because it is me get the signed copy. And nobody no get the signed copy. So signed copy not in at the media. Madam Bendu in office he always lock. Nobody no sit on there. Now leave he go. He's supposed to resume on the 5th. So whenever I come in office lock, the key first of all be the police. We only go get access to the key through the board when the office flood. Now the tenant with the key and give the board secretary. The key not in my hand. I know they go inside the office. Now I be done there. Now this my office as deputy. Now they are still there. As far as I concern, I mean the substantive deputy executive director. So I didn't have my office. I only the act na the position because in order. So I do to the best of my ability. And for me, my focus na cost cutting. I don't work with them as a team. I don't do so much for make the authority. We do what we supposed for, do what they expect from we. So in terms of revenue generation, we don't try. In terms of saving costs on all other things, we books are open. Other ones make it can see. In terms of staff costs, in terms of we administrative costs, make them can see the savings where I don't make so far from what you don't. In terms of integrity, people the way they know me, for make I attain that position as financial secretary, now because of my integrity. So I know the mix matters, and I will continue for work so because now life everybody knows I want for day. So not so no more I go one for this. I no go can spoil myself because of that. So we dey continue for do we work to the best of we knowledge. Where governments can we go for serve the government. Governments na continuity. For me, I know they serve a party. I dey serve my country. As I don't mention that during my interview when they ask me how much for pay me, I say na life, certain term, na service. It's not about the money. So I never go to tell them pay me. So I dey serve my country because I know say when my country develop, I dey benefit. Now that day I always tell my staff and I say you just do what you able for do now you corner. God is you and God knows what you to do. Well, I want me then keep my personal life from my work life. Yes, ex-President Koroma na me in-law. But I know they take and they count on my job. I don't there 9 months, I know what I go through. I don't ever go complain to and say na this. I work for over 9 months, and then December at the end of the day now I get vehicle. I don't ever complain to and say I don't get vehicle now, so they treat me no to so they treat me no. Because now work I can work, I don't go begin for go back and forth say this. Instead go ask say, Memunatu not ready for do this job. So my family they na decide. Me work na in na me focus. Me career na I try for build. And I serve my country to the best of my knowledge and my ability. And I ready for serve this government if they give me the opportunity for serve and make them sit down and see how best I deserve. In terms of politics, I always tell the staff and say politics not to for una. Out of this office una can talk politics, but when una come, una do wetin they pay una for. The politician and get wetin they do. If una self one for do una work, una do una work. Una this they pay una for. For me, na service, unity, team spirit, and for me we deliver on we mandates where government expects from we.
In that interview there with my colleague Mohammed Bashir, former acting executive director of Sillah Safety Authority, Madam Memunatu Koroma.
Rather acting. She's acting.
Yes, she's acting executive director. All right. So now, as we're about to round up the program, quickly, Andrew, what will be your closing cutscene? Francis. Sorry. So, what will be your closing cutscenes and your message to civilians in terms of maintaining peace, order, and stability going forward?
Yes, we're trying to ask Sierra Leoneans imbibe this culture of peace and permanent peace, and we ensure that we set up the peace structures and the early warning mechanisms so that communities can own their own conflict resolution processes. And we also encourage government to ensure that these communities are encouraged to own their own local initiatives in terms of peace resolution.
I see you're very passionate about this, and I'm optimistic
I'm
that
very
you're going to
passionate
push through
about
with
this as a security
better
practitioner
structured
with
peace.
over 18 years standing. I'm very passionate about peace, permanent peace in this country.
Thank you very much.
Adam, I tell you what, Francis is the professional security sector. Andrew is a politician.
Thank you so much for being part of the program this morning. Of course, we hope to have a subsequent edition of the program. We need to be talking more on these issues, and we'll be doing follow-ups as to what's actually going on in these communities with regards to committees you have already set up. Let me come over to you, Gloria. Now, what more do we expect to see from you? You've been here in Sierra Leone for some time now. You know, going forward, what are your plans?
Peace.
Thank you. Great. You must work with Francis here. Okay, so let me come over to you. Walter. So, going forward, what more do we expect to see? And what are your expectations? At the end of the day, with regards to this whole initiative you came up with, you're so passionate about this, you want to see this happen, you want to see this work, and you've come all the way down here in Sierra Leone. In fact, this is the first time coming to Africa, am I right?
Yes, first time.
So it means you're really passionate about this. So what are your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's been said multiple times, but I mean, it just from on a world scale, I mean, peace is important, and it's just also understanding, you know, national pride and understanding our history and where we come from as individuals, and being able to use that to achieve our greatness and our and being passionate in everything that we're doing. You know, being attention to detail and having a goal and being able to accomplish that goal. And I think there's been a you know, great community that's been doing that so far within these past, you know, couple decades, and different presidents and officials helping the community and being able to grow this country, you know, and it's one step at a time to be able to do that, you know. And I think first and foremost is looking after one another, and from all the different provinces and all the different cities that are out here, and understanding, like Francis said, that, you know, the peace is the most important, you know, to be able to be that first step to be able to accomplish everything else that we want to accomplish as a country.
Thank you so much for being part of the program this morning, and we hope to see a subsequent edition of our programs. You know, we want to know what's going on and how far you've gone with this brilliant initiative. It's a pleasure having you in the studios this morning. Well, viewers, before we round up the program for us, as always, we go for sports news. Our sports correspondent, Kamara, is upset.
The country's 14-man squad locked up with Nigeria yesterday in the opening of the ACA Cup hosted at the Tawafa Balewa Square Cricket Oval in Lagos, featuring 6 countries across Africa. But Ghana won the general tournament with 11 points, followed by host Nigeria as the runners-up. But last Monday, the Yellow secured their first victory against the Gambians in the concluded regional qualifier, scoring 89 runs for the loss of 2 wickets in 12.5 overs. The Gambians replied with 87 runs for the loss of 10 wickets in 20 overs. Sierra Leone won the match by 8 wickets. On the weekend of 21st April, the country's local side encountered Gambia for the second time to clinch its second victory in the regional tournament. Gambia scored 82 runs for the loss of 8 wickets in 20 overs. Sierra Leone replied with a score of 83 runs for the loss of 2 wickets in 9.5 overs. But last Wednesday, they faced Nigeria for the second time and suffered undue pressure, leading to a loss. Nigeria batted first and scored 120 runs in 20 overs for a loss of 9 wickets. Sierra Leone replied with 114 runs in 20 overs for a loss of 5 wickets. Timid batting caused the locals the trouble to bid reluctant farewell to the regional tournament. 2 teams from this engagement will qualify from each region. The final of 6 teams will be played in South Africa, and the winner will proceed to the World Cup. The ACA Cup is Sierra Leone's only hope to hit cross-border targets and sail through the stormy sea. For Bones Coker, the chairman of the country's cricket federation, the women have ushered in a winning mentality this year, with the men determined to replicate same. They maintain that a win for the new government will put cricket at the top. For Star TV Sport, Kamara reporting.
Thanks to our sports correspondent Kamara for putting that sport reports together. And that's our round up today's edition of a Star Good Morning Show here on Star Television Network on Channel 21. Please be reminded that the program returns tomorrow at exactly 9. Tomorrow is the midweek edition of the program. Endeavor to join us tomorrow. We say thanks to our studio guests for being part of the program. Till tomorrow, the program shall return. We have been your presenters. I am Adama, Sillah.
Abdul, Rahman.
You have a lovely day. Keep watching Star TV, and the news comes up next.